What's the buzz around John Matir? And I know there was some unwelcome buzz for the Venmo transactions. It might have been related to sports gambling, but that aside, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, that was a weird day, wasn't it?
Yeah,
um, everybody had to come through, especially like people like around, my age, 30s, 20s that have used Venmo as it's become popular. I mean, I have a buddy who he doesn't like the band. He doesn't like the Eagles at all. And one time I like paid for something for him, and then I typed out the entire lyrics to Take It Easy so he'd have to read it as the Venmo description. That just goes to show you that it's just I don't know why Venmo chose to make it kind of like a social media app where you can kind of scroll through a timeline like you do Twitter and just go, oh yeah, it's
Yep.
there are
yeah.
a handful of times where I would do that for some reason and I would see like transactions and payments from people and think, I shouldn't know this. I don't want to know what my ex-girlfriend is paying for right now. Like no hard feelings, but like why do I know this? So yeah, I'm not going to use it in that light anymore.
I know people that have found out and done spoilers for like The Bachelor and Bachelorette because they looked at Venmo and
Oh
they
man.
like found that person on Venmo and found who they were Venmoing. And
You gotta you,
it's weird.
you got to follow the money trail. And I was
Always.
actually waiting because I thought when I initially saw the story with the Venmo thing with John Matir, I thought, well, yeah, this is nothing because be clear, it says sports gambling. Like it's something, if I was good enough to play college football, I would have fun like that. I would poke fun at like all the silliness of like, oh yeah, sports gambling. Um, but I was kind of waiting, like there was that part of my brain that thought, you're an OU fan, so you're doomed to disappointment. And so it's only going to get worse. So I was thinking like, where is that player at that he Venmoed? Because I was afraid, did he transfer to like Georgia or Texas? And is
Hmm.
someone going to go interview him? And it's going to behoove this player who used to be a teammate of John Matir to go like, oh yeah, that was definitely sports gambling, and make
Arch Manning's Venmo also has come
Yeah.
up in recent days, and
yeah,
it's not great.
they're just kids. They're
They're just
kids.
kids
Yep.
They're
being
just
silly.
they're dumb kids. Like we were all dumb kids. Some of us are still dumb
Still
kids.
are.
I was
It's
gonna say,
okay.
yeah.
It's okay. But I guess in terms of on the field, I mean the buzz around the offense, it's two names. It's Ben Arbuckle, the offensive coordinator, who is the first major OU coach who was younger than me. And I met him a few weeks ago and shook his hand and said and basically said that it's like you are the first major OU coach that is younger than me. So thank you for making me feel old for the first time in my life. But
Ouch.
it's him and it's John Mateer. And I mean, you've got respectable big people with huge platforms going out there on a limb and saying John Mateer is going to win the Heisman. I think Josh Pate said that a week
Wow.
ago, and then which is interesting because I think he released his playoff predictions, and OU wasn't there. And I'm sorry, like I don't necessarily. I'm not going to sit here and say John Mateer is going to win the Heisman, but if John Mateer wins the Heisman, OU's probably in the playoff. The way that
Right.
that works, I, he's not Tim Tebow in '07 where they went what 9-3 or 8-4, and he just scored 700 touchdowns and
Hmm.
won the Heisman anyway.
Right.
But it's gonna live and die with John Mateer. The big question, the easy question, it's low hanging fruit. Can he transition from the level of play that he experienced at Washington State, where you play a few Power Four teams and a few Mountain West teams and a few WAC teams? I know the WAC does the WAC even exist anymore? But when I see San Jose State and San Diego State, I just think, oh yeah, the wacky whack.
Right.
Can he transition from that week to week to Tennessee, Texas, Auburn, South Carolina, like all these teams? And I think in a game scenario, John Mateer has the talent to be a top end quarterback in college football. It's just the question is can he handle the grind of when you play Auburn and then you go to the Cotton Bowl to play Texas and then you have to go on the road to play South Carolina, or later in the year they have Tennessee on the road, then they have a bye week and then they go on the road to Alabama. So can you do that? Doing it against Texas Tech one week is great. Doing it against Boise State one week is great, but when it's sandwiched with a bunch of crappy Mountain West teams, it's a little bit easier to kind of understand that I can save my body, like I can save my physicality a little bit here and there and save it for next week. So you can't do that in this conference. That's the question, but he's got an attitude to him. He's got an air to him. It people are going to say Baker Mayfield. He's kind of cocky, white, long hair. So I mean, like they're easy
Basically the same
comparison.
person.
Yeah, easy comparison. Well, one of them hasn't been arrested yet. He might be arrested for sports gambling for all we know, but hopefully that doesn't happen. But if you watch them play, there's even more comparisons to be made in terms of how they're able to keep plays alive, how they keep their eyes downfield. That to me is the most important thing about a quarterback that can be mobile. Is there are mobile quarterbacks that can just take off because they're just incredible athletes, and that's the first thing that they want to do when the play isn't there. John Matir keeps his eyes downfield just like Baker Mayfield. So he's always looking to make a play with his arm before he makes it with his legs. But if he has to make it with his legs, he's an incredibly talented runner. I don't know if Ben Arbuckle's going to run him as much as he did at Washington State last year, where he was basically the entire offense by himself. Can't do that in this conference from a health standpoint. But it's definitely a weapon. But I think overall, the biggest thing to be excited about is this has been Arbuckle's and John Matir's third year together. I mean, the first year was Cam Ward at Washington State, and John Matir was his backup. Last year, he was the full-time starter, and this year is second year as a starter. But again, third year overall with Ben Arbuckle. Typically, when you got a QB OC duo going into a third year, I mean, that has the makings to be something special.